Good day and welcome. My name is Drake598Shadow and I am here today to give you a tutorial on Chapter 9 of Space Hulk Deathwing. As you can see, we are playing on the hardest difficulty, and I have a friend here to help me in the case of these last two missions, just for the purposes of it is very difficult, especially on the harder difficulties, so we'll just get stuck into that.
Through great courage and great sacrifice, we recovered the cat and its precious data, to safely dispatch them to Grandmaster Belial. The situation inside the Space Hulk was rapidly deteriorating, as the enemy fell upon our squads in ever greater numbers and strength. Yet, our objectives remained unchanged: to purge the Olethros and ensure that the gene seed of the chapter did not fall into the clutches of the vile Tyranids. To preserve our strength for further battles, knowing that there would be no swift victory against the Tyranid menace, Belial withdrew the majority of his squads, leaving only a few of us to complete the final mission. Belial ordered that we would wait as long as possible for the enemy to draw close, and then set the plasma chambers to detonate, consuming both the Hulk and the bioships with the fiery rage of a man-made star. It was time for the final battle. With praise for the Emperor on our lips, we set upon the enemy with vigor. Our battle cry filled the Vox. For the Emperor! For the Lion!
So Chapter 9 is one of those pain-in-the-butt missions where a lot of the relics are not directly on the way to your objectives, so we do have to go out of the way to get some of the relics.
The enemy are greater in number than even I anticipated. We cannot hold the Caliban's will against them. Yet it is our duty to deny the Tyranids the gene seed inside both the Vault and the Gene Stealers themselves. The Emperor forged genes of the Dark Angels would become a weapon of the Hive fleets, turned against us. The chapter must not allow such a dishonorable fate. Though the psychic signal drawing the Tyranids has been weakened by the death of many hybrid psychers, the Hive ships are dangerously near, and still closing.
So if you are ever interested, you can skip that just by pushing circle. I tend to let them play for these tutorials.
Exterminatus Extremis. Activate the relays to overload the reactor.
So down here, straight at the end, you will see two turrets that you will want to take out as soon as possible. As soon as we trigger the overload, they will become active. At this point they are inactive, and it is just easier to deal with them now. And we will then be proceeding down to the left as fast as possible, down the corridor there, trying to avoid having a Broodlord or Cypher spawn, as they are very common in this room. Do be aware that it is very common as well to get lots of shooters, psychers and rocket launchers spawn on that area in the centre, which is sort of why we hug the sides of the room here. And we just simply go through this door, and my friend's going to lock that for me while I proceed straight down and lock this one down here. Now do be aware there is a stealth strain when your radar goes fuzzy like that. So that is something that you do want to keep in mind, especially on the harder difficulties such as this, where they can one hit you in the back or in the head. So we're going to continue straight out this door, trying to take out that shooter, and lock her up. And we will proceed just down here and go in the first door to the left. Do be aware the turret just here will be active and you will need to destroy it. But I find this to be a little bit quicker rather than having to run across that large open space. And we will come out on the other side once we collect the second relic for this map, which is just down here and to the left. trying to avoid this room as much as possible, as there are spawn points in each corner. And we come down right here, and you might already hear that relic whispering. One of the downsides to Chapter 9 is a lot of the doors are already destroyed, which means you will not have a secure point to fight from in a lot of cases. So it is just better to keep along and move, rather than hold and fight in a lot of these cases. Okay, so we are just going to again run through this room, trying to avoid as many of those spawn points as possible. I do find speed to be quite useful in a lot of these missions. As the longer you do hang around, the more chances you are going to get swarmed and be overwhelmed. Especially if you are only running with something like one healer, you can end up putting a lot of strain on that class if you have a full party. That turret that I just shot at is not really necessary to kill at any point, as we will not be around this area when it is active. We are just here to get this relic right here, and proceed out the door down the end where that turret is located. You may remember this mission from one of the previous chapters. It is the same map, it is just run in reverse. All the relic locations are the same, and the locations and objectives are the same regardless of running single player or multiplayer. If you were running single player, you were just locked into the Librarian class and have 2 AI assistants rather than playing with friends, such as we are here. We're going to stick to the left again. And my friend just got nailed by a psychic attack, so always do be aware of psychers. And now we do have a stealth strain just around this corner somewhere. And there he is. While you can never see them, they do blur the radar, and you can see their eyes or the imperfect image that they represent behind them. We're just going to run straight up here. We've sort of funneled most of the enemies towards the front. There are some spawn points at the back of the room there, but this is one of the safest spawns on the map. You can lock that door, but I tend to just run straight through as quickly as possible here, as it is less likely that you're going to get something big spawn the quicker you are, and if you get stuck in this little tunnel here kind of thing, it can be quite problematic against some of the bigger foes. You may not be able to get around them in time. I like to hug the right hand side like so, leaving the spawn points to the right hand side, so if anything does come up, you will be easily able to deal with it. And then we just run down here. Do be aware on this pipe just up here, you can have psychers and rocket launchers and gunners spawn, as well as down there and down there. But we're just going to go through this pipe to collect the next relic, which will be the last one for a while, as the last relic for the map is essentially on the other side of the map, and we will have 2 objectives to fulfill first. So we're going to just come down here and lock this door up. And then we'll proceed through this next door and lock this one up behind us. Nope. Do be aware, sometimes you actually have to be facing it for it to trigger for that lock, and you can perform other lock actions while locking the door as well. You just have to initiate the lock sequence first. As you can see on the map, there is no objective in that first room, so we just proceed straight down the corridor. And I tend to go around the left here, locking the door, blocking off access to the section that we are going into. And then returning around the other side and actually entering that door and locking that one behind us, so that we have now locked off both entrance points from this side. Now, I do find this first overload objective to be one of the easier ones, and also do be aware shooters and rocket launchers can spawn there between the barriers. That way is not accessible, so you do have to come through the door and lock it behind you. Now, in the next chambers, if you have a chaplain with you, like I do here, you would want him to hold at that locked door, so his flank will be secure, and he'll only have to worry about Xenos in front of him. But in this case, on the first objective, there is a breakable wall just in front. So you can command your chaplain to stand just there, and so long as he does not break the wall behind him, his back will be protected. My legs just got killed there, so that should be enough. My friend is going to wait just back there where I put that marker, and if I am unfortunate enough to die in this first chamber, by triggering the overload beacon, he will resurrect me. So I do like to stick to the right hand side on this first chamber. Once we get about 3/4 of the way down, you will have 3 ciphers and a broodlord spawn up in this chamber. Unless you have a very adequate party, you are not going to be able to face all of them, and if you do, it is going to take some time. So I prefer to run straight down here to the end, wait for that broodlord to come through the centre, essentially hit the wall, go left, trigger that beacon, so that overload is now done. Proceed to the next wall. As you can see, the mobs are following me. If anything gets too close, you just crisscross through these pillars and that will slow them down sufficiently, as you may just see there. And alternate between running, pivoting and shooting. If you do get any chances, you do blow up barrels, as it will stagger the enemies, including the large enemies. So I am just going to go follow all to remove that beacon for my friend, and we're going to proceed straight up out this little exit here. So as you could see there, that first chamber was relatively easy, just the way it is kind of set up. Some of the ones further down the line will be a bit harder, and I'll explain why as we get there. So we're going to go through this door, and my friend's going to lock this one up, while I proceed around to the left and lock this one up here. And we'll meet on the right hand side, as the objective will be there. Do remember to block wherever possible, as my friend almost just died, and I healed and he almost died again. So we need to move rather quickly down this way then, and come to the next objective, move in and lock the door behind. And I'll perform a group heal. And my friend is just going to stand here, face this way, and shoot, while I proceed to go fulfill the objective. On this chamber, I do also prefer to stay to the right, as once you get about 3/4 of the way down... Okay... Well, I guess we just proceed to the objective as planned. So, the same again in this chamber, regardless of whether or not you killed them in the last, there will be 3 Broodlords, three Ciphers and a Broodlord jump up out of the ground. So you're just going to want to proceed calmly through, saving your stamina bar until they jump out. About this point you're going to want to hold, waiting for them to charge down, then proceed up to the far end. At some point you will see the Broodlord coming around that corner, proceed down the end, and run straight through here, triggering this objective. And in this case, I have to run around like so, sticking to the right.
One last relay must
Shooters do spawn up there, be aware of that, that is why I have stuck to the other side. So we're going to alternate here between running, pivoting, shooting, like normal. That is going to create that distance that we require. And as you can see, that Broodlord just got a shot in on us, but that was not too bad. Do be aware you can even block the Broodlord attacks, but they will swipe your arm out of the way, so be prepared to shoot immediately after. So now that that objective is done, we will proceed to the next one. Hopefully by which our friend will have rejoined the match. Alternatively, we may be able to get him back by killing the objective before that timer is up. It depends on how you and your squad is running at the time. So we're going to be proceeding down these tunnels, which I'll show you on the minimap, will take us to the opposite side, which is where the last relic for this map is. So enemies do spawn down these tunnels and things, so you do want to be aware of that, especially in the case of stealth strains or psychers. Shooters not so much, as in close proximity they can deal a lot of damage, but in close proximity you're going to be able to deal with them fairly quickly, and at long range you can see they are very inaccurate. But that would also depend entirely upon your own loadout. For instance, if you were running a heavy assault specialist with a assault cannon, you may find it somewhat difficult to hit him at range without using one of your skills. And that is a psyker, so we definitely want to deal with him as quickly as possible. I do always try to notice the bodies, and that does let me know that they are officially dead and have not just teleported to another location. As a psyker will one-shot you or in the head or the back on this difficulty. It's all good. So we are at the last objective for the overload. Do be aware, although it says there are 4 overload objectives, you only need to do 3, at which time your countdown will be triggered to get to extraction. So I'm just going to wait here for a moment, let my friend come back through the portal, so he has a safe location to have his back to. And we'll just deal with these monsters, or these Xenos I should say. And he's just going to wait here while I go do what I need to do. And hopefully his resurrection ability will be up if I fail. So, again, we do want to try to remain as calm as possible walking into these chambers. I know it is easier said than done, considering what does come out of the ground. In this case, I do find the first one of these overloads to be the easiest. Just the way the map is sort of laid out, and I stick to the left hand side rather than the right. I wait till about this point, all the mobs should charge down like normal. And there you go, there's that cipher and the broodlord. So we just use our sprint gauge, come up and trigger this objective. This is why it is important to remain calm, and also good that I have a friend here in this case so that he can
Go
resurrect
to
me.
the main shrine. We have teleporter lock to return you to the strike cruiser.
It
Plasma
is
chamber
okay.
detonation countdown activated.
Because I had
Do not
fulfilled the last
delay.
objective, I triggered a resurrection sequence on all party members anyway. The only difference is, because I am not running solo, I do not have to repeat the level. So we're just going to proceed down here, and we are going to come down here and lock this door on the right and proceed through to the left door and lock that one behind us. Do be aware the ship will start to get a bit wonky from now as the calculations have been triggered. We are sort of going into overload sequence, and we're going to lock that door as quickly as possible. As you can see, the ship is starting to go a bit lopsided there. It will make it somewhat harder to aim, but there will not be too many more Xenos from now. So we're going to run down this chamber and grab the last relic for the map. It will still give us plenty of time to get to the extraction point. Do be aware, once you hit the extraction point, you are going to have to hold against waves of enemies for 90 seconds before being teleported out. I do highly recommend falling back to the stairs where you initially came in on the map, and I will take you there shortly. We come through. My friend's going to lock that door for me, so I can just go around and lock this one. And then we're going to come up here and we're going to break this wall and proceed out to the right hand side, locking the two doors down here. And I just got hit by a psychic flash, so do be aware there is a psycho around. So I will trigger my mass heal. And there's that psycho. As you can see, there is no body, so he has definitely teleported. We're going to come through in this instance and lock the door. I would normally not bother, as he is probably still in those tunnels. And we're going to proceed calmly out here, being aware that there could be broodlords or ciphers spawn relatively quickly. So you want to maintain that stamina gauge as much as possible, in case we do need to run them around any of these pillars or objects. You can stick to the right hand side, but I sort of aim to stick to the left, just going directly for the teleportation lock. Saving that stamina bar as much as possible, keeping aware of enemy stealth units like so. Now the calculations are still running while you are at the teleportation counter, so you need to get here early enough to actually run the 90-second waves and be able to... So yeah, as you can see, we've just triggered that. We're going to proceed down this way, up to the stairs. And this is going to be our hold point, as my friend just got hit by an enemy psyker. You can see how they sort of do deal quite a lot of damage. It is always best to keep moving no matter what, even in small areas. As much as you can move, the less chance that you are going to get hit by any sort of psychic blast or anything like that. They do sort of require line of sight. Now I do not see a body there, so we're going to retreat back here. That is a safe spot if you ever do require said safe spot during this countdown. Because there will be ciphers and bullets, as I just said. As you can see the cipher coming down the side there on the flank. And be aware that there will be multiples. I have had friends that have assumed, see there's one, so we know that there's one there and one there. So I have 11 more seconds to hold out, so we should easily be able to fulfill the rest of this mission. Having plenty of time on that countdown left. Escaping the explosions of the ship. And personally, just for aesthetics, I like to thank the gatekeeper that has gotten me out of that rather unpleasant situation before proceeding down. And this has been Chapter 9 of Spacehulk Deathwing. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a like or a comment down below. I've been Drake598. Shadow, thank you very much, and have a great day. As you can see from playing on the harder difficulties, you get quite a lot of XP, and we've acquired all the relics. So it is very quick to level up your character. A lot more so than on normal. In fact, you will gain more XP from playing on very hard than you will on normal, even if you lose the map. So thank you very much.